So another example of mimicry in our communicative behavior is mimicry in pitch. So in everyday conversations, different people have different types of pitch that they use when they're speaking. So you can speak with a normal pitch, or you can speak with a very low pitch. Sorry. What we find in research is that people typically slightly accommodate their pitch to the pitch level of the person they speak to. So if I speak in a very high pitch, at some point your normal natural pitch will also go up slightly. We know this from research on everyday life conversations. And now this has also been found a couple of years ago in virtual reality. So here you see a study that was published in 2016. So it's a bit, it feels like an old study already when you look at the visuals. So here you see that participants in this study were taking a tour with a virtual agent through a supermarket. And this would be a male virtual agent that would be called Virtuo, or it could be a female virtual agent that would be called Virtua. And they would have a communicative interaction with this virtual person. And then this virtual person could speak with, would always speak with a certain pitch level. And then the question was, do people adapt their own pitch level, their natural pitch level, to the pitch level of this virtual agent? And then the short answer is yes, they do adapt their own pitch levels to the pitch level of this virtual agent. More or less in the same way as how they do this in everyday life, where you, without even realizing this yourself, you would also adapt your pitch level to the pitch level of the person that you're interacting with. So again, this is an example that people apparently behave communicatively in the same way in virtual reality in interaction with virtual representations in the way compared to the way they usually interact with real people. So again, a nice confirmation that people more or less behave in the same way compared to the real world. Yeah, and this is the paper in which this was shown and observed and reported. And now you may wonder, why then is this paper on the reading list, not for this week, but for next week when we're looking at virtual reality as a method? Well, if you read this paper, you will notice that actually virtual reality here is being used to sort of contrast and test different theoretical positions in search of an answer for a fundamental research question. The way I've discussed this paper now is in terms of virtual reality as an object. Do people act in the same way in virtual reality compared to how they act in the real world? But actually, that's one way of looking at this paper, but those authors themselves, they really use virtual reality as a method. So again, this sort of shows that this distinction between using VR as an object or as a method or as an application is not a very categorical distinction, right? If you start looking at individual research papers. So you could take this finding and interpret it in a way that's in line with studying VR as an object, but at the same time, it sort of serves in search of an answer for a fundamental question. So therefore, it's also on the list for next week.